Okay, so what we're going to do is I put together an encrypted message, and we're going to take a look at it, and we're going to analyze it the two different ways that we have available. Remember, first way is we can build a filter to take out the two tones that are in there. The second way is to actually generate the upside down version of each of the tones. In other words, one is a sine wave. It will be doing minus that value of the sine wave. And then when we add them all together, it will cancel the sine wave noise out. So I'm going to open up the file that I put together, which is called hidden message number 702364 version 3. So here it is. Okay. Now, probably what we should do first is to play it so that you get to hear it. And then we'll be able to see what it sounds like. Okay, well, pretty clearly we can't hear the voice in there because it is a little bit overridden by the tone sounds. So what we'll do next is we'll take a look at the spectrum to see what the frequency is of those tones that are in here. Whereas remember, these correspond to basically very similar to a key on a piano. Okay. One of the frequencies, we can see the two big spikes here. One of the frequencies is, if I look down here when I select it, is 800 hertz, and this one over here is 350 hertz. So those are the things that we want to remove. Okay, so the first technique that we're going to use is we're going to filter it. I'm going to go over here and take a look at I'm going to get rid of that filter so that we start out with something that's flat, and we're going to build the filter. And I want to go from about 0 dB down to 60 dB when I attenuate it. 60 dB of attenuation is reducing the amplitude by about 1,000 times. So remember, first frequency that we want is 800 hertz. So this is 5, 6, 7, 8. So I want to kill that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put two little dots here, and I'll show you how I'm going to use that to construct my filter in just a second. And then this is 198. I'm going to put another little dot there and a dot there, and then I'm going to pull this inside dot down, and I'm going to pull this dot. Whoops! I didn't think it looked too good. Put another dot over there, and I'll pull this dot down. So this is going to go down to about 900 hertz. 800 is in the middle, and we'll make that about 700. And that's the way we're going to get rid of the 800 hertz signal. That's right here. It's going to get reduced by 1,000 times. We're going to do the same thing at 350 over here. And what I'll do is I'll click to put a couple of dots, and then a couple of dots on this side. And now I'm going to pull this down, and that's going to be at around, let's say, well, I did it incorrectly. I want it to be there at around 400. And I got to move this thing over slightly and pull this down at around 300. So now in between 300 and 400, it's going to kill everything. And I'll make this a little bit more vertical so I don't lose too much of my signal. So that's it. Now I'm going to use that filter. This should get rid of all the 350 hertz stuff, and this should get rid of all of the 5, 6, 7, all of the 800 hertz stuff. So let's see how it did. So I do that. Whoa, signal looks way different now. What I'm going to do is to make it a little bit bigger, amplify it. Okay. To do that, I'm going to select it. Now, one thing that let me zoom in on this a little bit because you can see a couple of problems that are here. There are little glitches right at 0. You see that little junk there, and over here at 10 seconds. So what I'm going to do is try to kill some of that stuff off, that stuff on the beginning and the end. So I'll go here, and I'm going to highlight that, and then I'm going to hit the delete key, which will get rid of that stuff over there. Then I'm going to go over here at the front, and I'm going to highlight it because that's just noise. It's not really my audio. What's here in the middle is the audio signal. And now what I'm going to do is select the file, and I'm going to go over here to Effect and say I want to amplify it. And And so I'm going to select OK, and it looks pretty good. The reason that it's not getting bigger, okay, is because there's still a piece of noise over here. So what I'm going to do one more time, I'm going to highlight that, and I'm going to get rid of that. And now I'm going to select it and see if I can amplify it one more time without getting too big a signal, because that piece of noise was getting in the way. So we're going to do that. We're going to do effect. We're going to do amplify. What I'm going to have to do? What I'm going to do when I amplify it is I'm going to say it's okay if it clips, because that thing is very big, but it's just a piece of noise, so I don't care if it gets chopped off by clipping. So now when I do it, and that's about as good as it's going to get, I would assume. So now we're going to play it and see if we can actually hear what this person is saying, what the message is.
Message 8, 1, 3, 4, 7, 5.
Let me do it again.
Message 8, 1, 3, 4, 7, 5.
So there you go. There's the message. Okay. So that was doing it by the filtering technique. What we're going to do next is I'm going to get the original unfiltered signal again. Okay, so we got hidden, this one right here. Oh, I got to close this. Let me close this guy because it doesn't like it. Okay, open it again. Okay, and what we're going to do now, remember, if I were to do the analysis of it one more time, look at the spectrum. Those two spikes right there are at 800 and 350, and they're each at half a volt in amplitude. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put two new tracks on here. And to do that, I'm going to say track, add new, and then I'm going to go one more time, track, add new. Okay, on the first extra track, the first new track that I put here, click on that. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to generate a tone. And the tone that I'm going to generate is 350 hertz tone. Okay, so I'm going to put that there. Then I'm going to go, I should have made this a little bit longer. However, we'll just do part of the signal. We should really cover the whole signal. Then I'm going to go over here. That was my 800. I'm going to generate my 800 hertz tone now. Put that there. Now, what I'm going to do with each of these tones is I'm going to flip them upside down so that when I add them to the tones that are in here, it will cancel them out. So this guy, we can actually see it. If I zoom in, you'll be able to see when it flips. I'll just show you what. So right now, there's the tone, the sine waves, okay, that I put in there, and they're both positive. What I'm going to do is select this one down here, and I'm going to do effect, invert, and it's going to flip it upside down. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Effect, invert, and I flipped it upside down. And now let me zoom out so I can see the whole thing. So now, I guess these are, might as well just chop that off because we're not going to be able to do that part anyway. So what I'll do is I'll just highlight that and delete it out of there. So part of the message will be missing now. But what we want to see is when I combine all of these, do I get a nice clean signal down on the bottom? Now to combine them, I'm going to mix the tracks, and I have to select all the tracks first. I've got to remember to do that. That's one track, second track, third track. And I'm going to say what I want to do with all those tracks is I want to mix them together, and I want to generate a new track. And there's my new track. And what you notice is that the new track is pretty clean. It really looks like all the noise went away. And so if I, to be able to see it a little bit better, if I amplify it, so there you go. And what we'll do now is we'll just, since that track is selected, we'll play it and see what it says.
Message 8, 1.
Okay, so we can see that that worked pretty well also. So what we're going to do now is, in fact, what I could do with this signal is I can look at the spectrum of it just to finish up. And you notice the spectrum now does not have any more of those spikes in it because we took that information out. So that's about the end of the technique. Now you're going to go and get the messages from Mr. Ty by getting him off of Moodle. You're going to figure out what they say. You're going to tell him what they say. And the way we're going to do it is we're going to split into two groups, okay, what we call even and odd. And half of you will get the even ones, and the other half will get the odd ones, and Mr. Ty will see who's going to get what. And then you turn in the results to him, because he has to have a list of whether you got the even or the odds. Okay, so that's about it.